Good morning. Welcome to the annual State of the University Address and the opening of a new school year here at the University of Montana. It's great to see everyone out this morning, and I hope that you've had a great summer and looking forward to an exciting academic year. My name is Royce Engstrom, and I'm the new Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at the University of Montana. It's been a real privilege to join the university community. Thank you very much. That's just symbolic of the warm welcome that we've received in the last several weeks. Thank you so much. I was attracted to this university because I believe it represents one of the best overall learning environments in the country, because it has an ambitious agenda for moving forward in today's world of higher education, and because of the committed and creative individuals that make up this university. In the month or so that I have been here, virtually every aspect of this university and this community have exceeded my expectations. I especially want to thank President Dennison for inviting me to be a part of his leadership team and for providing such a warm, welcoming introduction to this university. Thank you, President Dennison. I truly believe that with his leadership, we are positioned to be one of the most effective and creative universities in this nation. This morning, we're here to do several things. We will first call upon the deans and ask them to introduce the new faculty members in their respective institutions, or their respective schools and colleges. Then we will recognize those faculty members who have achieved the important accomplishment of promotion or tenure this past year. And then, of course, we will hear from the president in his State of the University address. So on the stage behind me are the academic deans of this university. I'm going to call on each dean respectively and ask him or her to introduce the new faculty members in his or her school or college. You can read more about each of the new faculty members that have joined our community in the booklet that you received as you entered the theater. And later today at new faculty orientation, in a smaller setting, we'll hear more detail from the new faculty members as they talk to us about their background. So let me start then with Dean Gerald Fetz of the College of Arts and Sciences. Dean Fetz.
Good morning. I'm very happy to welcome all new faculty and all faculty who are returning. I hope you all have a terrific academic year. I have the privilege this morning of introducing several new faculty members, tenure track faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. You'll find most of their names in the program here, and we'll get started. As Assistant Professor of Linguistics in the Department of Anthropology, we have Assistant Professor Leora Bar-El. Why don't you stand if you're here, Leora? She was still trying to get across the Canadian border last time I heard. Assistant Professor in the Department of Anthropology as well is Sarah Horton. Sarah here, if she is, please stand. He won't join us until about November 1, but we're very pleased that we've been able to fill the brand new endowed chair in wildlife biology, the Craighead Chair, with Professor Joel Berger, and he's not here yet, but he will join us shortly. In the Department of Computer Science, we have Assistant Professor Min Chen. If Min is here, would she please stand? Great, thank you. We have two new assistant professors in the Department of Economics. The first is Assistant Professor Derek Kellenberg. There's Derek. And another new colleague, Assistant Professor Ranjan Shrestha. This past year, we did a national search for a new director of our creative writing program, and I'm happy to introduce Associate Professor and Director Pragita Sharma. In the Department of Geosciences, we have a new Assistant Professor, Andrew Wilcox. It's Andrew here, there he is. New assistant professor, he just finished his dissertation, and so he's now assistant professor, not instructor, Kyle Volk in the Department of History. Watch out, he's the new Harry Fritz. In the Liberal Studies program, although he's been with us a year as a visitor, he now has a tenure track position, Assistant Professor Nathaniel Levtov. In my home department, Modern Classical Languages and Literatures, I'm very happy to introduce Assistant Professor Clint Walker, who is a new faculty member in Russian. Also in the program, you'll note that we have an Assistant Professor Christopher Preston, who joined us last January. He's out of town right now and so isn't here to be introduced in person. In the Department of Physics and Astronomy, we have a new Assistant Professor, Michael Schneider, and I know Michael's here, I saw him a minute ago. In addition, we had 3 other faculty members who joined us during the past academic year, so weren't here last year to be introduced, and I know at least one of them is here, so I'd like to, 2 of them, in fact. Steve Sprang is joining us as the director of our new Center for Biomolecular Structure and Dynamics, and he's also a professor in the Division of Biological Sciences with an affiliation to the Chemistry Department. So Steve, would you please stand? Also in that same general area of campus, we were able to welcome our new Associate Dean for the Division of Biological Sciences last January, and that's Professor and Associate Dean Charles Jansen. Charles is here as well. Somewhere? Son? And also joining us partway through the year was Professor of Chemistry Bruce Bowler. Bruce here. Okay. Then, due to natural attrition and retirements and a whole variety of other things, I have 6 new chairs to introduce in the department, or in the College of Arts and Sciences. In the Department of Economics, the new chair is Doug Dollenberg. The new chair of Geosciences, why don't we wait till we're finished here? The new chair of Geosciences is Regents Professor Bill Wussner. The new chair, having succeeded Harry Fritz last January for history, is Richard Drake. The new director of the Liberal Studies program is Stuart Justman. The new chair of the Native American Studies department is Wade Davies, and the new chair of psychology is Alan Salda Petrie. So welcome and have a great school year.
Thank you, Dean Fetz. Next is Dean Larry Gayanchetta of the School of Business Administration.
Well, Royce, you have my vote. You can pronounce my name right off. That's exciting. Let me add my welcome, and I hope everybody experiences the same sense of excitement this time every year that I do. I'm excited. We in the School of Business are excited to introduce 1 new tenure track faculty member, Monica Labarge, in the area of marketing. Due to prior commitments, Monica will be on campus Monday, but is unable to be here today. We have 2 administrative changes that I'd like to share with this group. We have a new chair of management and marketing, Jeff Shea. Jeff is in Beijing, China, teaching entrepreneurship. He's been there for about 3 weeks, and he'll be back on the 26th. And last, but certainly not least, and a real body to present to you, we have a new director of our MBA program, and we're excited to have her. I was involved in the orientation a little bit this morning with our new MBAs, and she's doing a fantastic job, Bambi Duma. Thank you very much.
And now Dean Bobby Evans from the School of Education. Dean Evans is new to the dean position again. She served in that position for several years in the past and has rejoined us as Dean of the School of Education.
On behalf of the School of Education, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce our new colleagues joining us from Idaho State University in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction with a focus on instructional technology and design, Dr. Martin Harishi. Coming from the Superintendency to teach Educational Administration in the Department of Educational Leadership and Counseling, Dr. John Matt. serving as co-director for the Montana Center for Childhood Trauma with an MSW from UM, Marilyn Zimmerman. Two new chair announcements. Chair of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is Ann Garfinkel this year, and the program director for counselor education, new to the job, John Summers Flanagan. Would you stand, please? Thank you.
Dean Shirley Howell from the School of Fine Arts is here with us this morning. I don't believe that you have new faculty members to introduce, but I'd like to introduce her. Next is Dean Perry Brown from the College of Forestry and Conservation.
Let me extend my welcome to everybody here. It's really nice to see the campus repopulated. And it's the next couple of days will even add to that population, and so welcome to everybody. I'd like to introduce several people that are here today. From the Department of Ecosystem and Conservation Sciences, Corey Cleveland, Assistant Professor of Soil Science. Paul Krausman, the new Boone and Crockett Professor of Wildlife Conservation. And Kara Nelson, Assistant Professor of Restoration Ecology. We have two new faculty members in the Department of Forest Management. The first one is not here right now. He'll join us in November. That's Solomon Dabrowski. He's an assistant professor of biometrics and modeling. And Christopher Keys, associate professor of applied forest management. And then from the Department of Society and Conservation, Keith Bosak, assistant professor of recreation and tourism. We have two new chairs in the college as well. The Department of Forest Management chair is Donald Potts. Many of you that have been around for a long time know Don. I don't think he's here, and he may not even be back from Australia yet. I don't know. I haven't seen him in the last couple of days. And then from the Society and Conservation, from that department, Mike Patterson is the new chair. So thank you very much.
Next on the platform is Associate Provost Arlene Walker Andrews. Arlene has been invaluable to me during this transition period and served a very important role of leadership during this past year. Next, then, I'd like to invite Dean Peggy Kerr of the School of Journalism. Dean Kerr is brand new in her position as dean, in fact, even newer to the university than I am. So, Dean Kerr.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here and to welcome 4 new faculty to the School of Journalism. The first person who is not in the audience needs no introduction to most of you here. He is Professor Jerry Brown, who was the dean, my predecessor, for the last 8 years. He's on his way to North Carolina, where he will spend the fall, and he will join us in the spring semester. I'd also like to introduce new faculty, Assistant Professor Nadia White, in the print department. Also, I'd like to introduce in radio television department, Ray Fanning. And we also have our Anthony T. Polner professor, John Westendick, who joins us from the Baltimore Sun this fall.
Dean Edwin Eck of the School of Law.
Good morning. I add my words of welcome. Also, the School of Law is fortunate to have 3 new faculty members. And actually, we got underway 2 days ago with our classes, so 2 of the 3 are not here. I'm pleased that one of them isn't here because she would be surprised, Professor Kristen Juris, that she earned her law degree at a school other than the University of Georgia, so I make that correction, but she will be teaching property, and Professor Elizabeth Brennan will be our legal writing fellow. With us today is a new faculty member in our clinical program who I'll ask to stand, Eduardo Capulon.
Next is Dean David Forbes, the College of Health Professions and Biomedical Sciences.
Good morning. It sure is nice to have some clean air these days. First, in the Department of Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Professor Nicholas Natale. Is Nick here today? Assistant Professor Jean Fowle. Jean is not feeling well and is not with us today. Assistant Professor Erica Woodall. Erica? And in the School of Social Work, James Karingi. And in the School of Social Work, Catherine O'Day. Thank you.
Next is Dean Barry Good from the College of Technology.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce two new faculty members in the College of Technology. First, I'd like to introduce Mary McHugh, our new program director of our pharmacy technology program. Mary. And secondly, there is another faculty member who is not in the book. Has joined us very, very recently. We are fortunate to have him. His name is Mark Raymond, and he is our new instructor in welding technology. Mark. Thank you.
Dean Bonnie Allen from the Mansfield Library.
Good morning. This will begin my second year here, so I'm equally excited as Peggy, and to see everybody back and the excitement continue. I have the pleasure of introducing three new faculty for Mansfield Library. The first is Julie Edwards, who is coming to us as the Ethnic Studies and International Relations librarian. Tammy Ravis, who's a librarian specialty in fine arts. And Jordan Goffin, a special collections and rare books librarian.
I'd like to introduce Dean Sharon Alexander, the Dean of Continuing Education and Summer Programs. Dean Alexander. Next is Dean James McCusick. He is the Dean of the Davidson Honors College. And last on the platform is Dean David Strobel. Dean Strobel is the Dean of the Graduate School. Well, it's now very much a pleasure to recognize those faculty members who have achieved a significant landmark in their career and have been recognized with either promotion or tenure sometime during this past year. The achievement of promotion and tenure is a real hallmark in the life of a faculty member, and tenure in particular represents a stage where the university says we are willing to make a lifelong commitment to this individual because of his or her accomplishments and promise. So as I read the names, would those faculty members who are in the audience please stand, and let's let all of them stand, and if the audience would hold your applause until all of them are standing, we can recognize them all at once. So we'll start with those faculty members who have been awarded tenure during this past year. Karen Adams, Political Science. Judy Blunt, English. Bruce Bowler, Chemistry. Nancy Cook, English. Ashby Kintz, English. Joanna Klink, English. Gregory Larson, Communication Studies. Michelle McGurl, Division of Biological Sciences. Emily Stone, Mathematical Sciences. Gita Swaney, Psychology. Tully Thibault, Anthropology. Fernando Cardozo Pelez, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Amanda Goldbeck, Public Health. Reed Humphrey, Physical Therapy and Rehabilitative Services. Craig Mulgard, Public Health. Kevin Roberts, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Bruce Costa, Accounting and Finance. Nicholas Uhlenbrecht, Management and Marketing, John Summers Flanagan, Educational Leadership and Counseling, Daryl Stoley, Curriculum and Instruction, Sandra Williams, Curriculum and Instruction, Nicole Bradley Browning, Drama Dance, Jillian Campana, Drama Dance, Elaine Hightower Gagliardi, School of Law, Thomas Gallagher, Business Technology in the COT, and Mary Nielsen, Health Professions in the COT. Let's acknowledge all these folks for their achievements. Thanks to each one of you for your hard work, and we look forward to a long relationship. Now let's recognize those faculty members who were promoted this past year, and we will start with those that were promoted, who were promoted to full professor. Again, would you stand as I read your name and hold your applause until they're all standing. Christine Fiore, Psychology. Jonathan Graham, Mathematical Sciences. Robert Stewart Hall, Psychology. Libby Knott, Mathematical Sciences. Donald Morton, Computer Science. Nigel Priestley, Chemistry. Anna Sala, Division of Biological Sciences. Alan Salda Petri, Psychology. Christiane von Reichert, Geography. William Borey, Society and Conservation. Diana Six, Ecosystem and Conservation Sciences. Carol Gadacek, Physical Therapy. Terry Heron, Accounting and Finance. Lisa Blank, Curriculum and Instruction. Margaret Baldridge, Music. Karen Kaufman, Drama Dance. Michael Murphy, Media Arts. Again, let's recognize those folks. For those of you who may be from outside the university community, the rank of full professor is the highest rank that a faculty member can achieve. Now let's recognize those faculty members who were promoted to the rank of associate professor. Jonathan Bardsley, Mathematical Sciences. Phil Condon, Environmental Studies Program. Jesse Johnson, Computer Science. Ashby Kinch, English. Michelle McGurl, Division of Biological Sciences. Daniel Reisenfeld, Physics and Astronomy. David Shively, Geography. Teresa Sobiaschek, Sociology. Gita Swaney, Psychology. Tully Thibault, Anthropology. Scott Woods, Ecosystem and Conservation Sciences. Vincent Colucci, Pharmacy Practice. Timothy Conley, School of Social Work. Lawrence Dent, Pharmacy Practice. Mark Pershhouse, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Elizabeth Putnam, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. David Shepard, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Bambi Duma, Management and Marketing. David Firth, Information Systems and Technology. Trent Atkins, Curriculum and Instruction. Ida Hutz, Educational Leadership and Counseling. Sandra Williams, Curriculum and Instruction. Charles Nichols, Music. Finally, let us recognize those faculty from the College of Technology who were promoted to Level 3 and Level 4. Timothy Olson, Business Technology, Level 4, and Mark Medvets, Applied Arts and Sciences, Level 3. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce President George Dennison. I have known President Dennison for only a few months. And of course, during the interview process, as I was doing my own homework on the university and on the person that I would be working for, I asked quite a few people about President Dennison. People described him using terms like incredibly committed, dedicated, hard driving, and direct. I have found him to be all those things and much, much more. He is a president who understands clearly the academic workings of the university, grounded in large measure by his own experiences as a faculty member and as a scholar. President Dennison, as most of you know, is a product of this institution himself, earning his bachelor's degree with highest honors in history from the University of Montana in 1962. And then the next year, his master's degree from here as well. He did his PhD work at the University of Washington and began his career in academics as a professor at Colorado State University. Fortunately for us, he eventually found his way back to the University of Montana in 1990 when he assumed the role as president. Since that time, the university has flourished. Its reputation as a fine undergraduate institution has grown, the graduate program has expanded, research has increased by nearly an order of magnitude, and the university has become a leader in international activity and service learning. The resource base of the university under President Dennison's leadership has grown dramatically. I've already seen his approach to goal setting, so I have no doubt that he will challenge us today to improve the university, not in some small increment, but by a big leap. Would you welcome President George Dennison?
Thank you very much, and good morning. For 17 years now, I've had the honor, the distinct honor and the privilege of addressing the campus at the beginning of each new academic year. And while every year has brought with it some unexpected contingencies demanding attention, unexpected contingencies. You know, we used to have an executive vice president. I confess, though, that I have enjoyed these occasions and the years that followed. I believe as well that the state of the university remains robust, drawing energy and vitality from the new and continuing students, faculty, and staff. The new faculty members just introduced and those who recently earned promotion and tenure exemplify the talented and dedicated community of scholars that comprise the University of Montana. So let's have one more round of applause and welcome to these two groups of faculty members. Academia has always attracted people who aspire to excellence, both individually and collectively. This university has earned a world-class reputation for the quality of the education delivered and the research conducted by the talented and committed faculty and staff who together attract and engage outstanding students coming from literally around the globe. One of my favorite quotations characterizing the University of Montana comes from H.G. Merriam's still useful, if incomplete, history published in 1970. And if you'll indulge me, I'd like to quote it again. Two facts stand out about the university. The first is its resolute progress toward excellence, first as an undergraduate institution, and then as a university with a complement, not yet full, of offerings, both undergraduate and graduate. The second is its development in spite of happenings which might have wrecked it. Emeritus Professor Edmund L. Freeman has likened the university to a pine tree on the mountainside, tall and tough, but with many narrow growth rings and a number of gnarled limbs. One might add that it has had a restricted amount of soil for cultivation and heavy winds and icy winters to withstand. Yet there it is, testimony to the age-old idea that success may come through the overcoming of difficulties, unquote. Merriam's comments retain their resonance and relevance as the 21st century brings with it unanticipated but nevertheless invigorating challenges and opportunities. With the past as prologue, we can and will respond in full measure. I'll return to this theme later in the address. But before I continue, I want to take a few moments, with your indulgence again, to introduce the new members of the administration. I'll call their names and ask them to stand, and please would you hold your applause until I've introduced them all. Some are not present today, but we can welcome them in absentia. The first you've already met, but he deserves a formal introduction. Roy Singstrom, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, comes to us from the University of South Dakota, where he served for nearly 3 decades as a faculty member, department chair, dean, vice president for research, and vice president for academic affairs. Clearly, he has done it all and seen almost everything one might encounter in academia. But we will now benefit from his wide experience and apparent talent. Mehrdad Kia, formerly professor of history and then assistant vice president and director of international programs in research and development, has agreed to accept appointment as associate provost for international programs in academic affairs. Professor Kia has ushered in an era of activity and accomplishment in international affairs with a new and widely recognized Central Asia and Caspian Basin program, and we expect international education and programs to continue to flourish under his energetic leadership. Roberta Bobby Evans, Dean of the School of Education, resumes the role she relinquished about 4 years ago to give more time to her family. She performed admirably during the earlier period, served last year as interim dean while we conducted the national search, and has already begun to move the school forward with an aggressive agenda. We welcome her back to a role she knows well. Peggy Coor, most recently Knight Professor of Journalism at the University of Kansas, formerly a practicing journalist and editor, has accepted the challenge as Dean of the School of Journalism to lead the effort toward media integration in the journalism curricula while sustaining the school's reputation for preparing professionals to recognize and present a relevant story with attention to good taste and ethical imperatives. She comes with the experience and insights that augur success. Frank Lawrence, a former faculty member at several institutions, Hemingway Scholar, member of the Missoula Symphony, and resident of Hamilton, has agreed to serve as interim director of the Hamilton Higher Education Center. In that role, he will coordinate program offerings in response to the identified needs of place-bound people in the Bitterroot Valley of Ravalli County. Jim Darcy, formerly Director of Business Services, has accepted Provost Engstrom's invitation to serve as Director of Budgets in Academic Affairs. Jim's knowledge of the university and its budget processes will prove immensely helpful to the Provost, and we welcome his return. Betsy Hawkins joins us from the private sector as Director of Human Resources. Her former positions have included consulting work for the Group Health Cooperative and Director of Human Resources for Kootenai Medical Center of Coeur d'Alene and Sacred Heart Hospital of Spokane. She brings with her a rich background of expertise and experience that will certainly serve the university well in the future. Continuing, I might add, the pattern set by Kathy Krigo and Rob Gannon. Krista Fredrickson, formerly with Missoula United Way, has joined the University of Montana Foundation as Director of Annual Giving. She will provide leadership for the annual business and campus fund drives that raise money to support the university's Excellence Fund. Please join me in a round of applause. Welcome these individuals. The as yet unwritten history of Montana higher education will, without question, identify 2007 as the year of sea change. For during the 2007 session, the Montana legislature approved Governor Brian Schweitzer's college affordability plan, better known as the CAP, interrupting a national trend of 3 decades running that shifted ever more of the cost of education to the students and their families in rising tuition and fees. The CAP, with the endorsement of the Montana Board of Regents, mandated 0 tuition increases for Montana residents during the 2 years of the 2009 biennium. In addition, the CAP included general fund appropriations to hold the campuses harmless from the resident tuition freeze, doing so by reference to calculations of unavoidable cost increases based on definitions accepted by the governor, legislature, and campuses. A change of this significance has not occurred in Montana since at least World War II. Even so, however, we will not know definitively whether a seat change actually occurred until after the next session of the legislature. 2 years of zero tuition increases cannot erase the effects of 30 years of increases above the rate of inflation that gradually but inexorably restricted access to higher education. The governor has made clear his intention to restrain tuition increases over the coming years in the interest of assuring access to higher education for Montanans. We all commend the determination to persevere so as to restore a more appropriate balance between general fund investments and tuition revenue in the funding of Montana public higher education. We also agree about the need to reinvest in higher education in order to realize the cultural and economic benefits a robust higher education system can provide. We will certainly do all we can to assure the sea change actually occurs. This positive development brings in its train some interesting challenges as well. The large increase in general fund appropriations replaces the tuition the university would otherwise have received from resident tuition increases estimated at 5 to 6% for each year of the biennium. In plain, unvarnished terms, the university did not receive a windfall of new revenue as a result of the cap, but rather the cap replaced tuition revenue with general fund appropriations. We applaud this welcome relief for Montana students and their families, but we must also recognize the consequences. During the biennium, we will have no funds to pay for enrollment increases if they occur, and only a limited but nonetheless critically important amount of one-time only funds, specially appropriated by the legislature for one new program in speech and language pathology. Essentially, we have a steady state budget with very little room for contingencies unless we realize enrollment increases, which we will have to finance on the margin if they occur. Despite these challenges, the sea change represented by the adoption of the cap has our enthusiastic support. After taking these challenges into account, we've established a balanced budget to begin the biennium. To do so, we found it necessary to use most of our contingency funds. Summer session enrollment produced good results, with revenues exceeding the target by more than $500,000, largely the fruits of successful efforts last year to integrate online enrollments into the regular budgeting process. For a smooth and transparent change that benefited our students and the university, we owe a debt of appreciation to a group of people that worked under the guidance of Associate Vice President Bill Muse and Dean Sharon Alexander. If fall and spring enrollments hold, we will have more room to maneuver. The prospects currently look favorable. I just saw the data this morning. But we all need to do what we can to assure the success of our recruitment and retention initiatives. In that regard, during spring semester, the university contracted with an external consultant to assist in the development and implementation of a responsive retention program for the campus. While the institutional retention rate for entering freshman to sophomore year differs little from the 70% achieved by similar institutions, we must find ways to improve it. Several committees composed of faculty, staff, and students have worked diligently under the leadership of Vice President Teresa Branch and Associate Provost Arlene Walker Andrews to identify promising strategies for implementation. While we will not see the results of the efforts until later in the year, we must reaffirm our commitment to reduce attrition in the interests of assuring student success and institutional well-being. It simply makes no sense to recruit students only to allow them to fail and leave. I urge everyone to do what you can to assist these efforts. We've also implemented new recruitment strategies to sustain the enrollment of resident and non-resident students. Experience indicates that yield rates go up when faculty members take a more active role in the recruitment process. I want to thank those who participated in making telephone calls, sending email messages, writing letters, and visiting with potential students and their families. In addition, I deeply appreciate the willingness of faculty and staff members to volunteer in the outreach initiatives we implemented last year, visiting about a dozen cities and towns to interact with potential students and their families. Once again, we will learn the results of these efforts when we see our final enrollment numbers on the 15th day of class. Other universities have found, however, that these engagement activities by faculty and staff make a difference, and we will probably need to sustain them for some time to achieve the results we need. The IMPACT program, you recall that's Montana Partnering for Affordable College Tuition, that we implemented last year to attract more qualified but needy students, Montana students, has proven successful. Despite our invitation to collaborate in delivering the program, no other campus has accepted. The criteria for involvement requires demonstration of financial need combined with academic preparedness. We want to avoid attracting students who attrit in high numbers. With very little advance notice, we managed to enroll 66 resident students last year who otherwise would not have attended college. This specially designed program provides financial assistance through a combination of federal grants and loans and institutional work-study grants. More importantly, this cohort of students persisted to the sophomore year at a rate above 90%. It appears that we will have a larger cohort of impact students this year, and we intend to continue the program because of its benefits to students, the state, and the university. As the number of graduating seniors in Montana continues to decline, we will have to find ways to increase our market share in order to sustain enrollments and to assist the state in the development of human capital. But we will do so only by recruiting qualified students. The program we have implemented to recruit qualified non-residents appear to work as well, since the decline of non-resident enrollments that occurred during the early part of the decade has subsided. In fact, we anticipate some continued but modest increases this year. The admissions staff will implement new initiatives during the coming recruitment season to affect enrollments in fall 2008, and they will undoubtedly call on you for assistance. Please help as you can. To achieve the planned enrollments, we will continue to invest institutional and donated funds in scholarships and financial aid to attract outstanding students and those otherwise qualified potential students with financial need from inside and outside Montana. The Dennis and Phyllis Washington recently renewed a multi-year grant of $1 million, which we will match for scholarships for Montanans in collaboration with the Horatio Alger Society. The Greater Ravalli Foundation provides scholarships for the first 2 years to students from the county with the condition that the university will take care of the last 2 years if the students do well. The Student Assistance Foundation contributed grants of $500 each to 50 seniors who engaged in community service during their high school years on the condition that the university they attend will match the grants. We have attracted some of these students and will work to attract more of them since they come very well prepared. The SAF will increase the number of grants to 150 for fall 2008, thus providing more opportunities. Finally, because of the increased number of generous donors, the University of Montana Foundation transferred more than $4 million to the university from endowments in 2007, most of which supports scholarships for students. These efforts help to make college possible for more prospective students, attract larger numbers of more able students, and assure institutional stability. Pardon me. The last couple of years presented new challenges for our research and graduate education programs. Even though critical in terms of support for graduate education, funded research represents a surrogate indicator of the scholarly and creative engagement of the faculty. Similarly, the numbers of published articles and books, exhibited works of art, and dramatic or musical performances offer crude and imprecise measures of achievement. Numerical tallies never capture the qualitative attributes of scholarly and creative engagement. In a humorous comment, John Slaughter called attention to the importance of scholarly and creative engagement of the faculty, and I'll paraphrase it. Research and creative achievement is to teaching as sin is to confession. Anyone not engaged in the former has no need for the latter. A faculty so engaged respects the highest obligation of the profession, and our performance evaluations assess the quality of that engagement, analyzed in terms of significance and impact. Thus, the recognition accorded to members of the faculty for their achievements through promotion, tenure, and merit and other awards reveals much more about the commitment to scholarly and creative engagement than numbers alone. The faculty of this university continues to perform well despite the challenges. In August 2007, Science Magazine, one of the leading journals for science publications, provided corroboration in a review of a recent National Science Foundation report. During the years between 1992 and 2003, research funding increased at the University of Montana by 230%, and scientific publications in science by 89%, the fifth highest increase in the country. As Vice President Dan Dwyer commented when he read the study, it's not just the money, but what you do with it. Even considering these caveats, the volume of funded research makes a significant difference for the university and for graduate education. No university, private or public, can sustain graduate education without the support that comes from funded research. The challenges for continued success in attracting external support for funded research became apparent in FY 2006, when the research expenditures fell below the level attained in FY 2005. The expenditures rebounded to slightly above the 2005 levels in FY 2007, but they have remained relatively flat for the last 3 years. This situation resulted not from a lack of engagement or competitiveness of the faculty researchers who submit the proposals, but rather from the relative decline in the amount of funds available in the federal agencies, foundations, and corporations, coupled with a significant increase in the number of applicants seeking those funds. No doubt the fiscal pressures caused by the war in Iraq impacted the level of research funding as well. While comments in the media attribute a significant part of the decline to the movement in Congress to halt the so-called earmarking of funds, I want to state for the record that earmarks have constituted no more than about 5% at any one time of the funded research at this university. Our faculty researchers competed successfully through the peer review process for the majority of the funds they secured, and they continue to do well on a comparative basis because of the quality and relevance of the proposals they submit. To illustrate the point, I'll mention only three examples, but there are several that could be cited as well. The successful proposal submitted by Professor Andre Julian for the renewal of a Center of Biomedical Research Excellence grant from NIH in support of the Center for Environmental Health Sciences for $10.6 million over 5 years. The $5.4 million grant awarded to Professor Jack Stanford by the Moore Foundation to support research on fish habitat in Russia, Alaska, and British Columbia. And the $3 million plus awarded to Professor Brent Ruby to support research to enhance the health and physical condition of those who work under extreme conditions as firefighters and military personnel. Based on the recent actions of Congress to increase the funds available through the NIH, NSF, Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Education, Energy, Homeland Security, and Interior, and the Environmental Protection Agency, and the rebound of research expenditures on campus last year, I have great confidence that we will have an even better year during FY 2008. But the highlight of the past year occurred over the summer. I refer specifically to another historic first for the state of Montana and Montana higher education. Sometime in July, we passed over the $100 million target. of the comprehensive campaign we have in progress in partnership with the University of Montana Foundation, Invest in Discovery, connecting people, programs, and place. Most people will recall that 2 years ago, in a festive gala held at the Washington Ranch on Grant Creek, we made a public announcement of the campaign, ably led by campaign chair Debbie McWhinney and her campaign cabinet consisting of trustees Priscilla Gilkey, Nikki Sogard, and Charlie Oliver, with the support of a campaign steering committee. When we made the public announcement, we had commitments totaling about $72 million, and now we've passed the critical benchmark. We have attained this historic level of achievement because of the work and collaboration of the dedicated UM Foundation trustees and staff with deans, faculty, and volunteers. I know we have some of the foundation trustees and members of the steering committee with us this morning, and I invite them to stand so we can recognize them and their work with another well-rounded, deserved applause. Campaign trustees, please. However, we have not yet achieved all the financial goals we set in advance of the campaign, although we have exceeded some, as for endowments to support scholarships and current funds for academic and research programs. We launched this campaign after an extensive period of careful planning and thought. Through a deliberate and inclusive process involving the campus community, the foundation trustees and staff, and the stakeholders in and out of the state of Montana, we established priorities in 4 critical areas that totaled $100 million. Endowments for scholarships, endowments for faculty chairs and programs, ongoing program support intended for immediate expenditure, and funds for construction and renovation of facilities. The priorities explain the purpose and the subtitle of the campaign. And let me go through that again. Connecting people, read faculty, staff, and students. Programs and place, read Missoula, Montana, and the facilities needed for the state-of-the-art research and education we offer. These priorities remain as important today as when we originally set them, and we will persist in our efforts to secure the support needed. More than 25,000 people have contributed to the campaign to date. Over 8,000 of them for the first time, and more than half of them alumni of the university. The outpouring of support from our alumni and friends provides a wonderful testament of the love and respect thousands of people have for this university, its faculty, students, staff, and programs. Because of all we have achieved, we must persevere to satisfy all the goals before closing the campaign on 31 December 2007. Over the next 4 months, we will work even harder to make certain that we fulfill the goals we so painfully and thoughtfully established for the campaign. We will need the help of everyone in order to succeed. I want to take this opportunity to thank publicly everyone who has helped and contributed to date, and to urge those who have not had the chance to do so to join us in this last major push for complete success. We have 4 months and will make the most of them. Now, I want to share with you a very brief video to commemorate this achievement and challenge. Please indulge me for a moment. Thank you. Certain other developments during the year merit attention as well, since they underscore the very good work of a number of people to assure that the university fulfills its mission. During commencement week in May, we dedicated 2 new facilities made possible by the campaign: Don Anderson Hall for the School of Journalism and the Skaggs Addition for the College of Health Professions and Biomedical Sciences, thanks to the tireless work of former Dean Jerry Brown and Dean David Forbes. The marketing campaign advertisements created by University Executive President Jim Foley and others across campus virtually swept the awards in the state and captured 2 golds and other awards in the case regional and national competitions. For the first time in the history of the award, the University of Montana Department of Intercollegiate Athletics, led by Director Jim O'Day, won the President's Cup given by the Big Sky Conference for the best combined academic and athletic performance of the year. Under the leadership of Associate Vice President Rosie Keller, the Planning Committee has completed a master plan for the South Campus that will guide development of that area in response to the university's academic, athletic, and student housing needs in the future. The extensive and ongoing work overseen by Vice President Bob Duringer, which nobody could have missed, to renovate the utility tunnels while making it difficult at times to get from one part of the campus to another, will pay huge dividends in the future. We have initiated the construction of the new interdisciplinary science building adjacent to the health science building. We'll soon begin the work to renovate and expand the School of Law building. We'll break ground next spring for the Native American Center adjacent to the Oval near Lomason Hall and the Phyllis J. Washington Education Center, in addition to the Education Building, and expect to break ground for the Gilkey Executive Education Center just west of Gallagher Hall next fall. The leadership for these projects came from Vice President Duringer, Dean Jerry Fetz, Dean Ed Eck, former Chair of Native American Studies Kate Shanley, Dean Bobby Evans, and Dean Larry Gianchetta. Overcoming some challenges, we have sustained the accreditation of all of our programs. And finally, we opened the Hamilton Higher Education Center to serve the needs of place-bound people in the Bitterroot Valley of Ravalli County, and will work collaboratively with all other colleges and universities in the state wishing to participate, including the proposed Bitterroot Valley Community College. The creative and diligent engagement of the faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends resulted in a year of outstanding accomplishment for the University of Montana. But then, considering the legacy bestowed upon us by prior generations, we have no choice but to sustain the tradition in the pursuit of excellence and service to the state, region, and world. For that excellent work, I have tremendous respect, great admiration, and profound appreciation. I'll use the time remaining to outline an agenda for the biennium, ending with an emphasis on the year we open today. The developments of the last couple of years make it clear we need to begin to think about the future and what these developments portend for us and for the Montana University system. Before turning to the specific agenda, I'll sketch some background that provides a context. The implementation and continuation of the CAP, discussed earlier, presents some new challenges and opportunities, especially when combined with emerging trends within and needs of the state. The cohort of graduating high school seniors will continue to decline until late in the next decade, while the percentages of each cohort going immediately to college will undoubtedly remain stable or decline as well without some intervention. These related trends augur considerable enrollment volatility on the MUS campuses, with each struggling to increase its market share of a declining number of potential students. The regents have committed the Montana University system to the enhancement of enrollments on the two-year campuses, currently showing the most rapid growth, which can continue only if, one, the participation rate of the graduating cohorts increases, and two, prospective students have incentives to consider campuses other than those in Bozeman and Missoula. The Regents also have an interest in assuring stable and robust enrollments on the other 4 campuses, offering baccalaureate programs, specifically those in Billings, Butte, Dillon, and Havre. Achieving this objective will require strategies similar to those that will enhance 2-year campus enrollments. At the same time, but for different reasons, the Regents have an interest in promoting graduate education and research because of the demonstrably profound impact upon the economic and cultural vitality of the state and region. The most recent research studies reveal a direct correlation, one cannot say causal relationship, direct correlation between graduate enrollments and research involvement and economic vitality. In addition, the most recent forecasts from Paul Polson and others envision a robust economy in Montana for the next few years, thus affording an environment at once supportive because of the economic vitality, but also needful of the kind of nourishment and impetus that graduate education and research typically provide. For a variety of reasons, the time appears propitious to invest in graduate education and research to assure the diversified and robust economy Montana has not enjoyed since at least the decade of the 1950s. Enhancing graduate enrollments and research involvements will require policies and incentives to achieve those objectives at the 2 doctorate-granting research-oriented universities in Bozeman and Missoula. Increasing research involvements requires more graduate students, since research and graduate education go together in a synergistic relationship characteristic of American research universities. To grow the graduate enrollments and research involvements on these 2 campuses will in all likelihood require limits on the number of undergraduate students they enroll. Other states have developed and implemented strategies to achieve the desired results, most notably Colorado and California, and Montana can surely learn from their success. Implementing these strategies will also address the other challenges mentioned above with regard to 2-year education and stable, even growing undergraduate enrollments on the other 4 senior campuses. Such an opportunity comes infrequently in academia. It strikes me that we have a chance to carry forward the work of our predecessors as they sought to develop the University of Montana, lauded by Professor Merriam in the passage from his history that I quoted at the outset. Let us not miss the opportunity. For the University of Montana, Missoula, the challenge lies in finding ways to achieve that long-term objective without undermining institutional viability while simultaneously meeting state needs. Policy changes to move in the desired direction will take some time to analyze, discuss, and adopt on the campus through our usual governance processes before seeking regental approval, with the implementation on a future date allowing time for aspiring students to understand and prepare for their impact. As we develop the necessary policy revisions, we must also identify alternative scenarios for attaining those outcomes. In a word, we will need to define the proper mix of enrollments by level and residency that will enable the university to increase graduate education and research and devise strategies to obtain those goals while enhancing institutional vitality. Once again, doing so involves learning what other universities have done and adapting their strategies to fit our circumstances. We need not reinvent the wheel with so many valuable lessons available to us. Within that larger context, I'll outline the agenda as I see it for the coming year. First, I will work closely with Professor Penny Kukak, Professor Royce Ingstrom, the various PACE task forces and committees, and the Faculty Senate to bring to successful resolution the policy revisions developed over the last 3 years to assure that the university maintains a work environment supportive of gender and ethnic diversity among the faculty, staff, and students. Most people will recall that we've enjoyed the assistance of a grant from the National Science Foundation to support this work, and that grant ends in 2008. Second, Vice President Teresa Branch and Associate Provost Arlene Walker Andrews will coordinate our ongoing retention initiatives and report the results. in late spring 2008. 3, Provost Engstrom will lead the development of revised undergraduate admission standards for the campus based on academic preparedness, using an analytical approach to predict applicant performance in our academic programs. We have conducted analyses in the past indicating that the appropriate combinations of high school grade point averages and test scores serve 2 important purposes. First, their application provides greater confidence that admitted students can and will persist to graduation in higher percentages. And second, that students denied admission as first-time freshmen on preparedness grounds perform better on average by attending another 2-year or 4-year school and transferring later, if indeed they desire to transfer. A revised set of standards emphasizing predictable student success will allow the university to continue to admit non-resident students based on the same standards. Any revision of admission standards requires approval by the regents and a prospective implementation date. 4th, Vice President Branch, working with the Enrollment Management Committee, will develop for implementation as early as the recruitment season for fall 2009 an approach that facilitates recruitment to major programs of study rather than to the university at large. We do this already at the graduate level, but we have not extended the approach to undergraduate recruitment. Doing so will enable the admissions staff to work with the faculty and focus their efforts on sustaining the critical masses of students essential for the various programs we intend to maintain. 5th, Foundation President Laura Brame, Provost Engstrom, and Campaign Chair Debbie McWhinney have agreed to work closely with me, the Vice Presidents, Dean, faculty, and volunteers to position us to achieve our objectives in the comprehensive campaign by 31 December 2007. We have preliminary plans for a gala celebration, which can only come off if we succeed, to occur the weekend prior to commencement in May 2008. Associate Provost Walker Andrews will continue her work with various faculty committees to assure that the university meets the standard for assessing general education outcomes when an accreditation team visits the campus next spring. At the same time, we will participate as an early adopter of the National Association of State Universities and land-grant colleges voluntary assessment system that begins this year. I urge all faculty and staff members to support these critical projects. 7th, Vice President Dan Dwyer will collaborate with deans and faculty researchers to assure the continued upward trajectory of funded research expenditures. Doing so will in all likelihood entail consideration of enhanced infrastructure and related support, and I will anticipate detailed analyses of funding requirements for consideration as we develop the institutional budget request for the 2009 legislative session. 8th, Vice President Bob Derringer will oversee the ongoing construction work on the campus to assure that we have the facilities to deliver our programs and also work with the appropriate people on all 4 campuses to develop the facilities request for the 2009 legislative session. Chief Information Technology Officer Ray Ford will continue the work to assure a functional network with appropriate bandwidth and technology infrastructure to meet the administrative, academic, research, and outreach needs of the university. Dean David Strobel, 10th, will cooperate with the deans under Provost Engstrom's oversight to develop strategic initiatives that will enable the university to begin to increase incrementally its graduate enrollments as early as fall 2008. I will anticipate detailed analyses of potential strategies and costs for inclusion in the institutional budget request for the 2009 legislative session. 11th, Associate Provost Meredith Kia and Mansfield Director Terry Widener, under the oversight of Provost Engstrom, will develop intensive language programs for the critical languages and assure the maturation of our international programs with particular attention to Central and East Asia. 12th, Vice President Bob Derringer and I, with the assistance of the entire administrative team, will collaborate with our counterparts from Montana State University and the Commissioner and her staff to develop a new funding model, including financial aid incentives, differential tuition, and targeted enrollment and graduation incentives for the Montana University system to facilitate the achievement of the region's goals and objectives. And finally, we will all strive to meet the needs of the students and to fulfill the university's mission in the discovery and dissemination of new knowledge. Let me close by thanking you again for your fine work and your commitment to this institution. I look forward to another year of continued development of the University of Montana. Have a great year and enjoy it as you do. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dennison. I know I speak for everyone in the room when I say we're eager to begin work on the challenges and opportunities that you've just set forth. There are quite a few of them, I noticed. As we adjourn, I want to thank each one of you for your work on behalf of the university. I sincerely hope to get to know all of you as time goes on, and I wish you the best in the upcoming academic year. Thank you for coming today.